שלום לכולם, מיד נארח כאן את גל פיי, שכתב את הספר הנהדר הזה, ארץ קטנה, פטיט פיי, בצרפתית. רק לפני כן, כמה דקות של רקע על רצח העם ברואנדה, והמתח הבין-גזעי ברואנדה, במדינה השכנה, המדינה שהוא חי בה, בורונדי, על מה שהוביל לטבח היום הזה. עכשיו, על העמוד הראשון, המשפט הראשון, מי שמספר אותו הוא ילד בן 10 בשם גבריאל, שהוא בן לאמא אפריקאית מרואנדה ולאבא לבן צרפתי, והוא אומר, אני לא באמת יודע איך הסיפור הזה התחיל, הסיפור הזה של הטבח. והאבא של צרפתי לבן מסביר לו, תשמע, זה לא בגלל דת, אלוהים או אדמה, לא כמו אצלנו, כל אלה דווקא משותפים להוטו והטוצי, אז מה כן? למה הם נלחמים, שואל הילד? בגלל האף. כן? הטוצים, האף שלהם יותר מחודד, הם יותר עדינים, פחות קיים, להוטו יש אף רחב. עכשיו, אם זה נשמע אנקדוטה, זה ממש לא. אנחנו רואים כאן את אפריקה, יבשת עצומה, מדינות עם שטח עצום, אבל המדינה שאנחנו מדברים עליה, רואנדה, היא כל כך קטנה, אני אפילו צריך את החץ הזה כדי להצביע עליה, שתראו איפה היא. עכשיו, היא ישר מתקשרת לטבח, כמעט 1,000,000 בני אדם נהרגו בטבח הזה, לכן אני רוצה להראות לכם משהו שגם גל פיי עצמו כתב על זה שיר, כמה הארץ הזאת יפה. אני זוכר שאני הייתי שם בזמן הטבח, ראיתי את הדברים הכי איומים שראיתי בחיים שלי, כל האזורים שבהם הסתובבתי, אבל זה נשמע קצת מטורף, אבל זאת אחת הארצות הכי יפות שראיתי בחיים שלי. זו ממש אפריקה כמו שאני דמיינתי כילד, אבל זה לגבי הטבע. לגבי האוכלוסייה, רואנדה בעצם יש בה שני שבטים. יש שבט שלישי שקוראים לו טואה, אבל הוא פחות מ1%, אנחנו מדברים על שני שבטים, אוכלוסייה אז של כמעט 10 מיליון, הוטו וטוצי. עכשיו, שימו לב, אני הולך לדבר כמו גזען בלגי לבן, שאלה היו הקולוניאליסטים שיצרו את החיץ הזה בין השבטים, הם רואים שההוטו, האף שלו פחוס, כמו שמתאגרף שחטף אגרוף, הוא יותר נמוך, הוא יותר רחב, זה יותר מזכיר להם קופים, הבלגים, אין מה לעשות עם האנשים האלה, 90% מרואנדה זה הוטו כאלה, לעומת זאת יש טוצי שהם יותר עדינים, קצת יותר בהירים, אף יותר מחודד, זה יותר הזכיר להם לקולוניאליסטים בני אדם. אז זה חשוב, כי הבלגים נותנים את הכוח לטוצי. הצבא, הנשק, המעמד העליון יהיה של הטוצי, ומכאן בעצם הם מזרימים את הרעל. יש גזע עליון ויש גזע תחתון. אנשים שהיו רואנדזים לפני זה, הכל מתהפך. ותשימו לב לתמונה המזעזעת הזאת, הם ממש מדדו סנטימטרים של מצח או אף, מבנה מוח כדי להכריע אם זה משהו שדומה יותר לקוף או יותר בני אדם. זאת אומרת, ההוטו, שבעצם היו הגזע הנחות על פי ההגדרה הזאת, תמיד רצו לנקום. היו פוגרומים קטנים, אבל לא משהו בקנה מידה עצום, והכל התחיל להשתנות בשנות ה-90, קבוצה מאוד פנאטית ששמה אינטר אמווי, שגם הקימה מפלגה, העלתה לשלטון את האיש הזה, אביארימאנה. האנשים האלה, ההוטו האלה, דיברו בפירוש, זה צורם לנו, כי יודעים לשמוע, הם דיברו על פתרון סופי, איך לגמור לחלוטין את כל הטוצי. הרעיון היה, בוא נאמר, יש 1,000,000, מתוך 10 מיליון זה טוצי, שכולם ייגמרו. והם הבינו שצריך לצורך העניין לעשות פרופגנדה, זה מה שעבד בפתרון הסופי כלפי היהודים של גרמניה. עכשיו, התירוץ להתחיל את הטבח הגיע כשהמטוס של אביארימאנה, שעלה לאוויר יחד עם נשיא ברונדי, הם הלכו לדבר שם על הוטו וטוצי, המטוס הזה חטף טיל, התפוצץ, והנשיא אביארימאנה מת. אגב, נהרג. עד היום לא יודעים מי ירה את הטיל. ההוטו מאשימים את הטוצי, ברור שהם עשו, הם לא הפנימו שזה לא מדינה שלהם. הטוצי אומרים, אנחנו לא עשינו את זה. ההוטו רצו לספק לעצמם תירוץ כדי לצאת לטבח הנורא הזה. בכל מקרה, כאן מתחיל הטבח. הכי גדול בחצי השני של המאה ה-20, לא היה כמותו, כמעט 1,000,000 אנשים הולכים להירצח, במצ'טות, בפנגה, באסגאי, לא בפצצות מסרר, בתאי גזים. והתחנת רדיו הזאת היה לה חלק גדול. ההוטו הקימו תחנת רדיו, הכינוי של רואנדה, ראיתם בתמונות היפות, זה ארץ 1,000 הגבעות. אז הם קראו לרדיו, רדיו 1,000 הגבעות, כמו הרדיו של המדינה, וישר אנשים מזדהים איתו. והרדיו הזה היה למעשה, היה להם רעיון גאוני. בואו נשים שם את המוזיקה הכי טובה, ובין השירים הכי טובים, כי כולם רוצים לשמוע מוזיקה טובה, ניתן מסרים, בואו נתכונן להרוג את כל הטוצים. אפילו לא קראו להם טוצים, קראו להם מקקים, עניינזי, בקינירואנדה. בואו נהרוג אותם. תדמיינו כמו איזה גלגלת סוטו, אתם שומעים איזה שיר מקסים ברקע, פתאום הקריין, במקום לדבר על השקיעה, אומר, חבר'ה, האם הבורות שחפרתם, עמוקים מספיק כדי לשכן בהם את כל המקקים, הגיע הזמן, כתוב בכתבי הקודש, צריך לערוף את הראש של כולם. זה מה שקורה. מתחיל הטבח הנורא הזה. יותר מ-800,000 איש נרצחים מבני שבט הטוצי, והוטו מתונים שניסו להסתיר את הטוצי בבתים. וכאן מגיע הסיפור שלנו. גאל פיי היה ילד בבורונדי השכנה, שגם שם יש ענייני הוטו וטוצי, אמא שלו היא אמא טוצית מרואנדה. מה שמעניין אגב, לפני שנגיע לספר שלו, הוא בכלל לא חשב לכתוב ספר, הוא כתב שיר ראפ, שיר מדהים. תקשיבו לו, קוראים לו פטיט פיי, ביוטיוב אפשר למצוא את זה. הוא מספר על כמה הארץ הזאת יפה, וברקע נותן לנו איזו תחושה עמומה של משהו נורא שקרה שם. ברר שמוציאה לאור ששמע את השיר הזה, כי הבן שלה השמיע לה, מאוד התרשמה, פגשה את גאל פיי, ואמרה לו, למה לא תכתוב על זה ספר? מכאן הכל מתחיל. אז עכשיו אנחנו נעבור לשיחה עם גאל פיי, אני לצורך העניין אעשה איזו הקדמה מנומסת בצרפתית כמו שצריך, ואז נעבור לשפה באמצע, אנגלית, שפה שכולנו יכולים להבין. Bonjour, je m'appelle Itai Engel, je suis correspondant pour la télévision israélienne et j'étais journaliste au Rwanda au moment du génocide. Je suis heureux d'accueillir aujourd'hui l'écrivain et musicien Gaël Faye. Et cette conférence est une collaboration entre le Jérusalem Writers Festival et le Festival Assise international du roman à Lyon. Et maintenant, on va parler anglais. Mr. Gaël Faye, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay. The idea was to have you in Jerusalem, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we are doing it here. And let me begin by saying that as a journalist who has been in Rwanda at the time of genocide and someone who read quite a lot about the events that led to the massacre in 1994, I find your book absolutely remarkable. This is, by the way, the Hebrew version. It is written here, Eretz Ktana, ça veut dire en français petit pays. And your book is set in Burundi. Burundi that shares about the same, more or less, cultural Hutu-Tutsi demographic, and as such provides a much needed cultural perspective on the tragic events to come. Now, it is being told by the point of view of Gabriel. He's a little child. And my first question is, why did you decide, to have the perspective of a 10-year-old child, to provide a story?
Actually, there are two voices: the voices of the kid and of the child, and the voice of the kid and the voice of the Gabriel adult. So at the beginning, my idea was to put the two voices, but at the end, I preferred to minimize the adult voice and to keep the kid one like on a more major in the story, because I think with a kid you can, as a reader, understand this story, and when, with a child perspective, you don't the child, it doesn't try to give like explanation of the violence. He is only a witness of what happened. So the reader and the kid walking at the same path, in the same path. They discover the history on the same at the same moment. So
it is a sort of a naive point of view, and I think even at the beginning, when you talk about the neighborhood in Burundi, you know, we will know at the end that something terrible happened because of ethnic divisions. But correct me if I'm wrong, I get, you know, the feeling that you feel nice at the neighborhood. Everybody is one community, whether it is, you know, Burundi's refugees, whether they are Hutu Burundis, Tutsi Burundis, Greek diaspora. Everybody is like a big community neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And especially when you were a kid during this period, you know, it's not like in other African country. You in Burundi and Rwanda, you don't explain to kids or talk about ethnicity in the society. So a lot of kids didn't know that their family were Hutu or Tutsis. And so when the violence and the war came up, it was something very surprising for the kids we were, because it was the first time we heard about this ethnicity. And I remember a lot of my friends, they asked their parents to know, but are we Tutsi or Hutu? So it was like discover something for the first time. And the reason why also I wanted to have this kid voice, because you discover something like the reader is, okay, I didn't know that the society where, you know, with this kind of segmentation. So, yeah. But yeah, when I was a kid, Bujumbura and Burundi was like a heaven for me and for a lot of people. And the war were in the society, much were already in the society, but you know, more in the language, more in some words that we didn't understand, like, you know, when we talking about Nyenzi, means cafard in French.
Yeah. Like cockroach.
Exactly. Yeah. So this kind of words, illusions of something wrong in the society, but as a kid, we didn't understand that.
You know, it's interesting because we talk about identity, being belong to a specific group, or maybe not. I mean, you yourself, you have a white father and you have a black mother of Rwandan origin. Now, you know, I'm thinking about saying whether you are a mixed race. I myself, I'm married to an Ethiopian woman, so my child is mixed, but I don't see anything like mixed, because I can imagine that in France you're being regarded as black, and in Burundi you're being regarded as Caucasian white.
Yeah, yeah, that's the. It can be something positive, but actually, when you are a kid, and especially when you are a teenager, it's quite complicated, because you want to be a part of a group, and at the end, you are never accepted in one or other group. You all the time you are the stranger and the alien. So yeah, especially because with the story I came from, it was very difficult, because when I was a kid, I was a Muzungu in Burundi.
White man.
Yeah. Yes, white. And when I arrived in France, I became a black. Yeah. But with this, I had this complex identity between French and Rwandan. And you know, France, especially the French government at this time, have a very strong link with the Rwandan genociders.
Hutu.
Hutu.
The Hutu side, yeah.
So it was quite difficult to be in my situation, because my mother was Tutsi and my father French. So I had to be the... I felt guilty about what France did in Rwanda, and at the same time, Hutu were against me because my family is Tutsi. So, yeah, I grew up in this very complex identity and position.
But still, you know, life was nice. And as you mentioned, you know, it was less Hutu and Tutsi and more like Rwandese or people of Burundi. And it is very significant, a part in your book, when you mentioned the first time that you realized the ethnic hatred that exists. I think, you know, when things begin to heat up in Rwanda between Hutu and Tutsi, and then the Hutu and Tutsi in your neighborhood, in your school, two kids are fighting, and then automatically everybody is being divided into two groups. First group is shouting dirty Hutu, the other one dirty Tutsi, and there come the realization, oh my God, I mean, this nice neighborhood that I thought, you know, where identity is not really, you know, something so significant. No, now it means that I belong to someone. I have a history, I belong to a group, and therefore, you know, the other group, although you don't like it, it's enemy now.
Yeah, and I realized this like years after, because it's the difference between my own life and the life of Gabriel. Gabriel is he has a kind of lucidity, you say, lucidité. I mean, he can understand what happened during his present in his story. But for me, I had to wait a few years to understand what happened during this time, because it was very, very difficult, especially with adults. They didn't talk to us. My parents didn't talk to me. So I understand years after, because I read some books, and I went to see some documentaries, and I understand why all this happens, and what was the complexity of the situation.
So it's supposed to be quite shocking to realize the ethnic hatred. Yeah. And I think one of the most famous, you know, notorious factors that incited everything was Radio Mille Collines, Radio of 1,000 Fields. This is like a nickname for Rwanda, and it was like a Hutu-based radio, which incited, you know, to kill the cockroaches. They didn't even call them Tutsi. And in the book, you know, you drive in your car, they had a very nice music. This is why it became so popular, this Radio Mille Collines. And all of a sudden, your family, relatives are, oh my God, you know, they're witnessing the sounds that they never wanted you, Gabriel, to hear.
Yeah.
There is hatred. People actually want to annihilate the other side.
Yeah, it's absolutely surrealistic, you know, this radio, because it was very famous radio and commercial radio.
Yeah.
And young people used to listen this radio because you had all the international hits and popular music. And between two songs, you had these journalists saying stuff like, don't forget to kill all the cockroaches, so the Inyenzi, the Tutsis. And it was it was a mix of the hate and something joyful.
Yeah.
Because even in Kenya, Rwanda, and Kirundi, we use a lot of allusions to. We don't talk directly sometimes. So in Inyenzi, as a kid, you didn't understand that they were talking about you.
Mm.
So in this part of the book, the adults understand, and Gabriel doesn't understand. So he has to ask his own cousin to say, but what is it? Why are you scary? Why you switch off the radio?
Yeah, and Then come the mother of Gabriel,
Yeah.
which is an amazing figure in the book, heartbreaking. I mean, she decides from Burundi to go to Rwanda because her relative, Tutsi, live in Rwanda, and then she's having the most horrible visit of her life. And she comes back to Burundi. I mean, the impression I got, she becomes like a dead man walking, dead woman walking. I mean, it is so difficult to absorb what she's been through, to see how all her family members were killed, perished, burned, hacked to death, and you lose her as a person. I mean, you try to get closer to her, but she's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the main character for me, because she is the one who she's doing the action. I mean, she at the beginning of the story, she tried to escape the country, the region, because she can feel that something is wrong for her and for her family. But when the genocide come up, she's the first to go, trying to save the family. So she's like the hero of the story, and she's a symbol for me of the Rwanda today, because the Rwanda is a country who exists a lot thanks to women. And after the genocide, they rebuilt the country, and a lot of them have been raped, have been traumatized, have been they pay a very, very big trauma during this period. And also they try to recreate the society, raise kids, take care of orphans.
And I think they even became like the first country, Rwanda, with a majority of women in the parliament. They were very influential in building a very successful story of the new Rwanda to come.
Yeah, exactly. And all the citizen associations movement are a lot of are led by women. So yeah. Is a reason why even she's so important for Gabriel and for the story. She's really she gave the perspective of the old story.
But I wonder about the mother. You know, she's coming back, and maybe I'm saying it, you know, in a point of view of a Jewish man. We have what we call like you know, the sense of guilt. People who managed to survive the Holocaust, they managed to survive, and all the other relatives were killed. So the people who survived were not like happy that I've survived. There was a sense of guilt. Why am I alive? And my family is dead. And not, you know, just one for oneself, even the society in wondering how come he made it alive. So it was life of torment, you know, not like immediately fresh new beginning. And I think I sense something like that also in the figure of your mother. I mean, she's not happy, thank God that I'm alive. I mean, she is like a dead woman walking. Try to keep on living.
Yeah, exactly. She stayed in 1994, even 20 years after when Gabriel came back in Burundi. She's still in 1994. She's still during this period, and it's something we have in Rwanda, and I know that it is something we share as genocide communities. The genocide is the end of the world, and for the survivors, sometimes it's the end of their own life. It's like their body are still alive, but their mind and all the the emotion they used to have still remain in this period, during this time, the time of genocide. And yeah, a lot of you know, one of my aunties, she say she's now she's quite old, but she say when you ask her how old she is, she say, I'm 26. Yeah, she say I'm 26 because I'm born again after
Life began after the genocide in
yeah.
94. Yeah.
And the me as a person, I died in 1994, and I reborn in something else, in someone else after the genocide.
So it is very interesting to talk about in Rwanda, because I remember back then, I've been there as a journalist, and I was so shocked. I've been in dozens of places in the world, but this is something that's really, really, I didn't manage to get out of it. You know, it's still in my head, the things that I've been witnessing. I came back though, you know, 15 years later, and I was amazed, because the country was alive, the country was rich, the country was a very secure place. And the most, you know, amazing thing for me, maybe as an Israeli, I'm coming from a very machoistic country, you know, that people talk about being strong all the time and you have to revenge whoever hurt you, the reconciliation. It came to a point that I saw a Tutsi woman getting married, but she invites to her wedding also neighbors from, you know, Hutu, who took place in the genocide, and even their kids. You know, it's something for me, it's an Israeli that I couldn't perceive. And I think most of the Israelis are like this, unfortunately, you know.
Yeah.
We're not present the other cheek. It is more of like tooth for a tooth and eye for an eye, unfortunately. And then it might be a naive Israeli question, but you think that this reconciliation, all of a sudden, quick, we start together. Is it real, or it has also some, you know, artificial elements, because the big man, Paul Kagame, the president, decides, like a dictator of peace, now we forget everything?
Yeah, is complex. Is a mix of all this. I think Rwanda is a very particular and unique moment in the history where the victims and the perpetrators have to live together.
Amazing.
In a small country, very small, very, you know, Rwanda is so small that you know your neighborhood, and it is a neighborhood genocide. So you don't, you know, Tutsi say we didn't have the choice. We didn't have another option to find another place to live. So what we have to do is to accept to live with them, the perpetrators and the Hutu. So you have very strong policies from the government to recreate a society, and Kagame say, I'm not here to make Rwandans love each other, but I'm here because I want them to live together, and it's very different. But as a writer perspective, I'm not into the you know, the reconciliations or the resilience. All this can be sometimes very politics. I'm more into what happened in the hurts of a Rwandan, a person. And
so it's very interesting, Gael, because you decided to live in Rwanda. I mean, you've been living in Paris and you decided to go and live in Rwanda. I heard you saying in one interview that, you know, in a bad Hollywood movie, the African who leaves the African continent never comes back, you know, because they just want to run away. You decided to do the other way and to come back. What actually led you to go there?
Two things. First one is I have two daughters, and it was very, and my wife, she's like me, half French and Rwandan. So it was, we didn't want to give our daughters the idea that Rwanda is only the genocide, only the association with the genocide. Because when you're abroad and you meet other Rwandan from the diaspora, is almost all the time is because commemorations or day of remember, so is very linked with the genocide. But when you live in Rwanda, you live simply, and it was the reason why we wanted to settle there. And the second reason is because I used to live in Burundi, so I know Burundi, I know France, but for me, Rwanda was still the country of the pain and the suffers of my family, and I wanted just to understand the people.
It's interesting because you were very successful in Paris, you know, with a book, with the song, with the rap song. So you had a relatively good, successful life, you know, in a capitalist Western point of view. You made it, but you decided to go to Rwanda.
Yeah, and you know, the society, Rwandan society changed very quickly, very, very quickly. And if you are not in the country, you can't understand, you know, because after 1 or 2, 3 years, you come back and you see how the life change. And even the generation, you know, Rwanda, I think is 60 or 50% of the population is less than 25 years old. So the most majority of Rwandan today, they burn after the genocide.
Yeah.
So, and as it's a very modern society, they are more, they want to, you know, to move forward. And I think it can be a danger as an artist or as you know, a person, a Rwandan person, to not to understand what happened before us. So the genocide, the history, and I'm very interested to find what I can, how my kids and the next generation can live with the weight of this history. So live in Rwanda was for me is very necessary to
You even said, I mean, the way they perceived your book. I mean, in Butare, for example, in Rwanda, they were less interested in the massacre stories. They were interested in your book because it depicts mainly, you know, the normal life. This is what they were interested in. About the massacre, the genocide, we know about it. This is not it.
Yeah, because it's quite difficult, you know, for the new generation in Rwanda, because they have to live with this very heavy history. And so they know that when they're gonna read a book about Rwanda, it will be about genocide, and they want to read something else. They want to understand them through other emotions, through other perspectives. So I think what the students in Butare or in the school where I went in Rwanda really liked is the day-to-day life of Gabriel. And in the novel, they like it because they say, we want to see us as a mirror in a book, and the mirror is not only the genocide. Mm-hmm. We have so many other stories to tell.
So, it is important to mention that you write about events in Burundi and Rwanda. As a writer, you wrote it in Paris. So I want to ask you about this. I would call it exile, if it is a right thing to say, but this exile, like not being in Rwanda or Burundi while writing about Rwanda or Burundi, it was important because I know as a writer, sometimes you need to distance yourself from the subject in order to really perceive everything, at least, magnetic events like this. You need to distance yourself, even to invent like a new personality, the personality of Gabriel. You could not do it in Burundi or Rwanda itself. You needed Paris.
Yeah, it's it took me a while to understand this, but yeah, I'm a writer of the distance. I'm not. I need to have a distance because my imagination has to work, and it's difficult to write about a mango trees if the mango trees in your front of you in the garden. So I prefer to write about the mango trees when I'm in a tiny space in Paris. Is because I can create my own images, and I don't have the pressure of the place. But it's the same when I'm in Rwanda. Is easier for me to write about France and Europe. So yeah, I wrote this album called Rythme Botanique, and it talk about France and the political situation. And I had to be in Rwanda to write it.
Oh, this is so interesting. Sometimes I think, and people here in Israel think that the only way, for us to create peace in this place between Israelis and Palestinians is to have like a plane ticket to each Israeli and to each Palestinian. You need to have a different idea of life to understand that there is another idea of life. I'm not saying better or worse, but it's not only this, boiling heat of me and the other and the enemy. But so far, no tickets and no planes because it is Corona time. But you're a great writer, but you're a great songwriter as well. I mean, you had so much to say and so much to express living in the Burundi and witnessing the genocide in Rwanda. Yet, initially, your choice was to express it in a song, in a rap song. You didn't have a book in your mind at that time?
Not really. Actually, I started to write when I was 13, and I wrote poems. And when I arrived in France, I transformed the poems into music because they were rap workshop close to the area where I used to live. And so, yeah, I transformed poetry in music and rap music. And because I wanted, to be part of a group, as it was difficult with my color of skin, but with hip hop, I found like a family. Hip hop became like my second family. And yeah, but for me, literature was something quite bourgeois, and it was not for me. It was because I did the link between literature and school and traditional writers. In France, we have the literature with a big L, like Victor Hugo, Voltaire. So it was not in something that I can imagine to express myself through a novel. And in 2000, after my first album, so 2013, I met a publisher, a woman. Her name is Catherine Nabokov, and she heard about me through her son who used to listen to my music, and she just asked me.
Petit Pays.
Sorry.
The song Petit Pays.
Yeah. She listened the song Petit Pays, and she asked me if I wanted to express myself in a different way, and I say I want, but I know that literature is not open to people like me, you know. And she was a very good mentor, because she said, no, you have stuff to say, and I think you should do this. So I wrote Small Country, and and thanks to her, because she gave me she opened me the doors, you know, to say, you can, because I used to be in with people who don't live near the world of literature, and I don't have examples around me of people writing books. So, you know, it's
maybe it became an advantage, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like an idea of a copy-paste. But, you know, the timing of you writing the book, it's interesting, because it's not like, you know, exactly following the genocide, you know, you gave an eyewitness account. It came into being more or less 20 years later. And I wonder, I mean, in 2015, when you wrote it, when I think it was published, it was a horrifying year in Paris. It was the attacks in Paris. I wonder if it had anything to do with the message that you wanted to bring in your book. And, you know, then came 2016, Trump, ultra-right, a lot of nationalistic governments all over the world. Even in Israel, you know, nationalistic like we have never been. Your book is also a message, you know, to the current period of time?
Yeah, because at the beginning, when I started to write the novel, I didn't want to talk about war. I wanted to talk because I had, you know, this feeling that we are not, I can't be a prisoner of my own history. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to just to tell the story of a kid in Bujumbura in a normal life, and the major catastrophe in his life would be the divorce and the separation of the parents. And I started like this, and I wanted just to keep it, but I lived I was very near Charlie Hebdo during the attacks. Mm. And months after, I was in Paris, very close to the attacks of the Bataclan. Mm-hmm. And during this year in Paris, the atmosphere changed a lot, and especially the link I used to have with my French Parisian friends, because it was the first time for them that they have the violence, you know, the war violence in their own life. So they started to ask me a lot of questions about my past. And I remember that France was for me like a dead end, like a place where we knew that behind the borders there are violences, but we don't want to listen to it or to take care about it. And with the attacks in 2015, people change a lot, and my friend, they change a lot, and they start to be much more aware about all the world situation. And so it remember me the Burundi during the 90s, where people, you know, in my category, we used to live in neighborhood, very safe place. Yeah. And the violence were in the country, but not inside our house or our day-to-day life routine. And so
it is like a message, a sign, you know,
yeah.
Look and see what nationalism and fanaticism can lead to.
Exactly. And also, as a human being, you still have to be conscious that even if you are safe, you are not safe if the other people abroad or
Right.
you are not safe. So for me is, you know, Gabriel wants to stay naive and wants to be he say to Gino and friends, yeah, I don't want to be Hutu or Tutsi. And Gino, his best friend, say, you have to take your responsibility.
Yeah.
Because in a war, you always have a place. Even if you don't choose, war choose for you.
Exactly. So it leads me to the last question about uncertainty, because this festival is a lot about the spirit of uncertainty. And we mentioned so much, you know, uncertainty about the future, uncertainty about the identity. You're black, you're white, you're Rwandese, you're Tutsi, you're Parisian, you're French, you're what. And then even if you decide, you know, okay, this is what I am, like Gino, it is time to decide, some other people might regard you completely different. So this, you know, uncertainty in life, it necessarily leads to, you know, everyday torment, you know, very difficult to live this life, or it might be, on the other hand, lead to a lot of creativity, to joy, to open up. For you as an artist, what did it do?
I'm still think about this. You know, I did a lot of work during all my life to accept all identities I have, and to accept for me, but to be accepted by others. And yeah, life is always something where you have to doubt, douter. Yeah.
Taste.
Sorry.
Goûter.
Douter, hesitate, to be not sure.
Hesitate. Sorry, hesitate.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the main problem in our world, that people, they want to be sure. They want to
like to have the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be human is to human in a civilization, and it's to live with the doubt all the time. And you are never sure, you know. And it's very funny, because sometimes we have stories in Rwanda or Burundi where people they are very fanatic, like I'm a Tutsi or I'm a Hutu, and after they discover that in fact they were adopted and they are not Hutu but they are Tutsi, and you know. So what you do when you create yourself in a block, and actually you're not a block, you're just a fluid, you just like water. So yeah, is yeah, that's the way I see our societies. It's try to be in this hesitation. So when you are in the hesitation, you open the arms to other people's.
And that's the idea, opening up. Gaël Faye, I thank you so much for this lovely time and for this interview. And I wish you a lot of luck. And I wish for us, you know, that for the next time and the next time we will meet here in Jerusalem.
Yeah, so, please.
Would love to have you here.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you very much.
Okay, au revoir.
Au revoir, bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.